Hello, fellow Days of Our Lives fans. If you've been glued to your screens like the rest of us, you know that the arrival of the Choi family has injected a fresh wave of tension, secrets, and heartbreaking drama into the already turbulent streets of Salem. For months now, we've been drawn deep into the lives of Amy Choi and her daughter Sophia, watching them navigate love, loss, and the complicated pull of family loyalty. But lurking just off screen has been the towering, often terrifying figure of Sophia's father, the man whose name alone could silence a room and whose values have shaped his family with an iron fist. After countless mentions, veiled warnings, and whispered fears, he is finally stepping into the light. And let me tell you, this is the kind of entrance that could shake Salem to its core. This week, Peacock's Days of Our Lives welcomes actor Stephen O-Young in the role of Jason Choi, Sophia's formidable father. If the early buzz and casting news are any indication, O-Young is about to deliver a performance that fans will be talking about for years. But before we dive into what we might expect from this debut, let's rewind and truly understand why Jason Choi's arrival feels less like a simple family reunion and more like the calm before a devastating storm. From the moment the Chois set foot in Salem, the story has been filtered largely through the eyes of Amy Choi and her resilient yet vulnerable daughter, Sophia. Amy has tried to carve out a new chapter, balancing her own desires with the heavy weight of tradition and expectation. Sophia, caught between two worlds, her mother's cautious optimism and the rigid rules drilled into her since childhood, has become one of the most compelling young characters on the canvas. We've watched her struggle with identity, romance, and the crushing pressure of living up to impossible standards. Army, likely a reference to a close ally, or perhaps a slight misnomer for a character close to the family, and Sophia herself have painted a consistent, chilling portrait of the man who ruled their household, an extremely strict, deeply patriarchal figure who demands absolute obedience and views any deviation from his chosen path as betrayal. Jason Choi isn't just a father. In the story shared in hushed conversations and tearful confessions, he emerges as something closer to a force of nature. A man who built his life on discipline, honor, and unyielding control. We've heard how his word was law, how his expectations loomed over every decision from career choices to romantic partners. Sophia's quiet rebellions and Amy's careful navigation around his temper have hinted at years of emotional and perhaps even physical strain. In true Days of Our Lives fashion, these revelations haven't come all at once. They've dripped out slowly, like poison in a fine wine, making us question just how dangerous this patriarch truly is. Now, with Sophia's tragic death still fresh in our hearts and minds, Jason Choi's timing feels anything but coincidental. A daughter lost, a family fractured, and a father who has spent decades enforcing his vision of what the Choi name should represent. The question burning on every fan's lips is simple yet loaded with dread. What will Jason do when he arrives in Salem? Will he seek the truth behind his daughter's death, or will he arrive with judgment already formed, ready to assign blame and exact his own form of justice? Let's be honest, Days of Our Lives has a rich history of powerful, complicated patriarchs who shake up the status quo. Think of the greats. Victor Kiriakis with his ruthless business empire and protective, often overprotective family instincts, or Stefano DiMera, whose manipulations span generations. Jason Choi feels cut from similar cloth, but with a distinctly modern, culturally layered edge. As an Asian American family navigating life in Salem, the Chois bring perspectives and conflicts we haven't always seen explored so deeply on the show. The tension between tradition and assimilation, between parental authority and individual freedom, has already created compelling story. With Jason's entrance, those themes are about to explode. Stephen O-Young brings an impressive presence to the role. Known for his work across television and film, O-Young has the gravitas and intensity needed to make Jason Choi feel immediately real and immediately threatening. In early promotional glimpses and set photos, there's a steely resolve in his eyes, the kind that suggests a man who has sacrificed much and expects the same level of devotion from those he loves. When he steps onto the screen this week, expect the atmosphere in Salem to shift palpably. Scenes with Amy will likely crackle with unresolved history, years of arguments and compromises bubbling to the surface. How does a wife explain building a new life while her husband was absent? How does she justify the path their daughter chose, the very path that may have led to her death? The brothers mentioned in passing will add another dimension. We know there are sons in the Choi family, raised under the same strict hand. Will they arrive alongside their father, acting as enforcers of the family code? Or might one of them represent a voice of reason, torn between loyalty to their father and the reality of what Sophia's life had become in Salem? Soap operas thrive on these sibling rivalries and secret alliances, and the Choi brothers have the potential to become major players in the years ahead. Sophia's death hangs over this storyline like a dark cloud. In the episodes leading up to this, we watched her fight her demons, chase her dreams, and ultimately fall victim to the dangers that seem to lurk around every corner in Salem. Was it random tragedy? Or was there something more sinister at play, perhaps connected to rival families, old grudges, or secrets Sophia uncovered? Jason Choi won't simply mourn. Men like him demand answers. And in Salem, demanding answers often means tearing open old wounds and creating new ones. Imagine the first confrontation, Jason standing tall in the town square or bursting into the hospital, his voice low but commanding. Amy shrinking back at first, then finding her strength. Friends and allies of Sophia, maybe Tripp, maybe Chanel, maybe even unexpected supporters like Maggie Horton or Julie Williams stepping forward to defend the young woman they knew. The dialogue will cut deep. Jason might dismiss Salem's loose morals or question the influences that corrupted his daughter. He'll probe for the truth about her final days, her relationships, her choices. And in true soap fashion, every revelation will carry the potential to destroy lives or forge unexpected bonds. But here's where the drama deepens. What if Jason himself carries secrets? What if his strict exterior hides guilt over his own past actions? Perhaps there are reasons he stayed away so long, business dealings that went wrong, enemies he made, or even a hidden connection to other powerful Salem families. Days of Our Lives rarely introduces a character without layers, and Jason Choi's patriarchal armor likely conceals vulnerabilities that skilled writers will peel back over time. Fans have already begun speculating wildly on social media. Some believe Jason will become a new villain, using his resources and influence to disrupt multiple storylines, perhaps clashing with the DiMeras or Kiriakises over business, or inserting himself into ongoing custody battles and romantic entanglements. Others see redemption potential, a grieving father who learns, slowly and painfully, that control cannot conquer love. The beauty of this show is that both paths are possible, and often they intersect in surprising ways. Let's expand on the family dynamics that have been teased. Amy Choi has shown remarkable resilience since arriving in Salem. She's formed connections, pursued opportunities, and tried to give Sophia the freedom she herself perhaps never had. Watching her face Jason will be heartbreaking television. We might see flashbacks, moments from the Choi marriage, early years with young Sophia and her brothers, the gradual hardening of Jason's expectations as the family faced external pressures. These glimpses into the past will humanize him while making his present-day intensity even more frightening. Sophia's journey, now cut short, was one of quiet defiance. She wanted to love who she wanted, dream what she wanted, and live on her own terms. Her father's arrival forces the town and us to reckon with whether that defiance cost her everything. The grief will be raw. Memorial scenes, accusations, investigations reopened. Perhaps even a murder mystery angle if foul play is confirmed. Jason won't rest until he knows exactly what happened, and his methods may not stay within legal or moral boundaries. As the week unfolds and Stephen O. Young makes his debut, pay close attention to the supporting players. Who will stand with Amy? Who will challenge Jason directly? Will we see new alliances form in response to his presence? Salem has always been a town where outsiders either adapt or ignite conflict. The Chois have already begun adapting. Now the patriarch is here to decide if that adaptation was betrayal. The cultural nuances add richness. Jason may represent the old world values clashing against the melting pot reality of Salem. Generational trauma, immigrant sacrifice, the pressure of maintaining face in a new country, these elements elevate the personal story into something broader and deeply resonant. Writers have the chance to explore these themes with sensitivity and drama, and early signs suggest they're leaning all the way in. Beyond the immediate family, Jason's arrival ripples outward. Business interests he might bring could intersect with Titan or other corporations. His protective instincts might put him at odds with younger characters pursuing romance. His grief could lead to surprising moments of connection with other parents who have lost children. Think of the shared pain with characters like Marlena or Roman. This isn't just another character debut. It's the escalation of a family saga that has captured our attention precisely because it feels both intimate and epic. Sophia's death was a gut punch. Jason's arrival is the aftermath, the reckoning. As we count down the hours until Stephen O. Young steps onto our screens, one thing is certain: Salem is about to get a lot more complicated. Jason Choi isn't coming to play nice. He's coming for answers, for justice, and perhaps for control over what remains of his family. Whether he finds peace or only deepens the wounds will keep us watching for months to come. The stage is set. The patriarch has arrived. And in Days of Our Lives, that almost always means the drama is just beginning.